Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's episode 51 and, it's a state of disaster. Everything in Victoria at the moment isn't... Where do we start? I don't know where to start. All around us, things are falling apart and it's no different here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. My trusty co-host, Steve Curtin, is having a bit of a nightmare trying to get on. I think it's all an after effect of yesterday's internet shortage. We had so many issues on the, in fact, it was the Geelong Region Soccer Show, the sister program of the Geelong Region Soccer Show was affected there. And that was, we're talking about, obviously, the football fan zone last night. But he's going to be joining us very, very shortly, my co-host, who's always there, week in, week out. And it's a very, very big welcome to you. Good evening, Steve Curtin. How are you, my friend?
Good, thanks, mate. I was just giving you a bit of a fright to kick off the show tonight, but hopefully it's going to be smooth sailing from here on in, and maybe this little technical glitch can be a bit of a source of humour that can put a smile back on everyone's face who's tuning in, and a very, very warm welcome to everyone who is tuning in to the Geelong Region Soccer Show tonight. We thank you for giving us your time, and we hope that we can put a smile on your face in these difficult times. It's been about as gut-wrenching as that 1997 night at the MCG against Iran.
Don't talk about that.
This week after getting our juniors back out on the park, and then obviously, that won't be happening this weekend and for the foreseeable future. But look, there's still a lot of things to be positive about, and we're going to do our best to keep everyone's spirits up tonight, because no one's going through this alone. A lot of us are struggling, and don't feel that you're doing it hard on your own, because many other people are in the same boat, and we'll get through.
Yeah, absolutely. Normally, for the last few weeks, I've been starting off with wacky intros and singing this and finding always the bright side of life. It's very difficult tonight, very difficult, because we never thought it would come to this. The last time we had a lockdown, I guess there was that silver lining. There was that sort of like, okay, yeah, we'll get through this. We're going to get through this on the other side, and there's something to look forward to. But damn it, Steve! I tell you what, it's very hard. I've been speaking to a few people from a few different clubs, and people are gutted, absolutely gutted. So, folks, if tonight has to be awake, let's do it collectively. Let's do it all together. And Steve, a really good point that you just said. I hate when politicians say it, because they're full of, you know what I'm talking about, when they say we're all in it together. Bull crap, you're not. But we as a football community, we indeed are. And all jokes aside, there are people doing it tough. We don't know what people are going through. The lifeline numbers and all of that, look, and we'll talk about this maybe a little bit later on. But I just get the feeling, and I'm going to call it how it is. I'm going to really, really nail it now, right down the guts. And I'm just going to say a lot of these politicians spin a lot of crap and do a lot of things that are there just to make it look like they're doing something and justifying their departmental spending and this and that. We as a football community, we need to look after our own. And we're not going to find help from the governments. We're not going to find help from a lot of these so-called, government agencies. We need to look after our own. And I'm appealing to all the clubs out there, don't go into hibernation, because this is a time when your members, your players, your parents, your supporters need you. And I think, if anything, this is the time where new organisations within organisations need to be formed. If coaches and team managers now need to start off weekly training sessions by Zoom, not to talk about football, to talk about what you watched on the movies on Netflix, just for the kids, just for the players, just for them to maybe get that little bit of a human interaction. We're going to provide it here, folks. Every Monday night at 7 o'clock, we're going to try and take your mind off the squalor of life. It's up to the clubs to also do their bit. It's up to you guys, the members of the football community, to do your bit. That's my editorial for
Yeah,
tonight.
good call, mate. That's a good shout. After the wacky entries, beginnings of the last couple of shows, that's certainly a real change of pace there. So might have been caught out by the slower ball, some batsmen. But very on point, mate. And I think the best way, if you are feeling a bit down, is to have a look around your local community and see how you can help somebody else, because that's the best way to start feeling better about things. Also, hello to everyone in our comments who's been very active so far. Michael Ong points out that it's not all bad. The Champions League does start this week. And also hello to our colleague Craig Filer, who also says it's not all bad. We get to watch Central Coast Mariners tonight. So look out, Matt Simon and co will be out on the track.
Maybe we'll actually have another good post-match press conference after the Central Coast Mariners. They are indeed the most entertaining club in the A-League side at the moment, Steve.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the field, but off the field certainly.
Yeah. I saw that presser after the game by Quoll the other week, the young player who'd shifted up there from the Mariners. To the Mariners from Goulburn Valley Suns. And yeah, I was a bit late catching up on that one, but yeah, what a ripper. Absolute character.
Now, you mentioned Craig Filer, our colleague from the sister show Football Out West. Now, he's got this segment at the start of every Football Out West. He calls it the Filer 5-minute funnies. And it's taken it off. Everyone's looking forward to it. Well, he's just – I'm gonna read this. He's just put it in the comments section. This is one of Craig's jokes. Steve, did you know that they don't watch the Flintstones in Dubai, but in Abu Dhabi – they do. Unbelievable. No. Anyway, that's a good one.
Oh, that's why he's on the big bucks. Craig Filer.
He's a box himself. Yeah. All right, mate. We're going to, whilst you get yourself ready, you've got a little bit of a drink there. We're going to get launched straight into the news desk. Without further ado, here's the news desk.
And to open the news desk tonight, news that Corio Soccer Club will benefit from a $350,000 funding boost for the planned facility upgrade to Hume Reserve. The contribution will be allocated to planning permits and full construction drawings for 2020/21 of the club's new change rooms, gender-neutral change room facility, as well as beautification of the Hume Reserve Park area. Club president Mario Gregorio celebrated the news alongside councillors Anthony Aitken and Eddie Contal at a junior football fixture played over the weekend. So good bit of news there in a week where we have talked about doom and gloom. It is very positive to hear that Corio Soccer Club is going to get those much-needed upgrades happening, hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, the region's A-League club, Western United, have gone down by 1-0 last night at the hands of the Newcastle Jets in the Hunter Valley, with Bessart Brusha coming closest to scoring when his first half effort was ruled out for offside. United will now face Western Sydney Wanderers at Jubilee Stadium on Friday night before facing Perth, Sydney FC and Melbourne City, with all matches to happen within the next 16 days as the sides still have their finals chances in their own hands. And as you'll see on screen there tonight, Grant Brebner's young Victory outfit are in action against the Central Coast Mariners, who we mentioned earlier. That match tonight from 7:30. We will keep you posted of the scoreline from that one at Jubilee Stadium in Kogarah.
What's your tip, Steve? Who do you reckon is going to win that particular encounter?
I'll back the draw in that one, actually, Tonchi. Have you got a tip for that one?
I know, tough one. Victory haven't been very impressive. They are like blooding a lot of youngsters. And look, you can throw in the youngsters in the deep end, and they'll struggle to make an impact immediately, but give them a couple of games, and then they'll start to really, really show their worth. And look, they've had that couple of games under their belt. I'm tipping Victory to win tonight. I'm tipping they're going to dedicate that victory to the doom and gloom happening back in their home state. But that's we'll go through those fixtures again. So Victory and Central Coast, that kicks off at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Big game tomorrow. Western Sydney Wanderers and Perth Glory, Bankwest Stadium. Western Sydney Wanderers have got the home ground advantage, if you like. And Wednesday night, then we've got Wellington Phoenix taking on Brisbane Roar. So, look, quite a few games happening in the next few days. That's great to see, isn't it? And
It is. You can catch a game every night. And as you mentioned, some of the clubs, well, maybe not Sydney FC, but some of the clubs are playing young players starting in their starting 11s. So it's good to see. And if the Victory can get the 3 points tonight, I'm sure it will put a big smile on the faces of a couple of our fanatical fans of the program, Santino and the Rayman.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they've got another big game against Perth Glory on Saturday night. But before that, Western United take on Western Sydney Wanderers on Friday night. And then on Thursday night, we've got Adelaide United taking on Sydney FC. Melbourne City will be again in action Tuesday week when they take on Adelaide United. So, look, some important games happening there. If we can get the ladder up as well, we'll pop the ladder up very, very shortly. There we go. There's the ladder. So if we look at the ladder, obviously no interest in top spot Sydney FC. But Melbourne City, geez, they looked ominous the other night. Did you catch that game, Steve, against Sydney FC?
Yeah, I had a look at it, and it seemed to be fairly even. It was a bit of a cagey affair, and then City capitalised with Craig Noon pouncing on a bit of a mistake there, getting in behind Redmayne and sliding home, and then it was a classy finish, wasn't it, by McLaren to seal that one. So, yeah, they might have the wood over Sydney for the finals campaign. Who knows? But yeah, all to play for that second spot on the table, certainly between City and Wellington at the moment.
Yeah.
And also for that sixth spot as well, you've got a few in the mix there: Western United, Newcastle, Adelaide, and Perth certainly haven't signed up their spot yet either.
Yeah, well, Western United really fluffed that opportunity. I mean, if they had won that game, I tell you what, they would have really been looking at fourth spot possibly. As high as fourth spot. Look, I think they'll still do it. I think, the game yesterday, last night, I don't know. It just sort of seemed to me that they were being frustrated. Either Newcastle had really stifled, Burgess and Diamanti, and you could see that, for those that did watch it, you could really see the frustration in Bessa Berisha, and particularly towards the end, it was just really put off his game.
Yeah, the duel between him and Nigel Bugard was one of the highlights of the season, perhaps you could say that. I think.
Yeah, but look, Western United, they're in 8th spot at the moment. They've got 2 games on Adelaide in 6th spot, and they're only 4 points behind. So look, they cannot afford to drop points. They need to start, not only winning games, but winning a few games in a row consecutively. But it's going to be a really interesting battle, not just for that 6th spot, but for those spots just above above 6th on the ladder. I suppose there's no real home ground advantage, so to speak. But having said that, there's always that psychological advantage of we've finished 5th, you finished 6th, that type of thing. And that's something probably Steve would be playing on a lot of players' minds.
No doubt about it, Tonchi.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move to we'll go overseas now. And Arsenal have taken out a record 14th FA Cup on Saturday night with a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang double, getting the Gunners over the line in an all-London final at Wembley Stadium after an early Christian Pulisic goal had given Chelsea the lead. However, it was Arsenal who made it 14 FA Cups from their 21 appearances in the showpiece event. Over the competition's history, Man United sit in second with 12 FA Cups. So shout out to all of our Arsenal fans across the Geelong region and any of them who are tuning in. Well done to the Gunners. They'll take their spot in the Europa League next season and a bit of silverware to finish on a high after a tumultuous season.
Mate, I'm still trying to pronounce that. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Well, geez, you did that well. Have you been practicing that today?
It's just all fantasy EPL practice, mate. That one. He's a good point scorer this season.
Fantastic.
Now, friend of the program and recent on-air guest Denis Skudasic's Lokomotiva Zagreb contested the Croatian Cup final over the weekend, going down 1-0 to Rijeka at Sibenek with a Tibor Halilovic scoring the only goal of the match on 76 minutes. So hard luck there for Lokomotiva Zagreb. But as you were saying today, Tonchi, it's not long of a turnaround until the next season kicks off there in Croatia.
The
So
Croatian
no time
league,
for holidays.
yeah, like overnight they played the promotion playoffs. So how they work over there is they have the second. It's only a 10-team league, so the second last team in Division 1 take on the second place team of Division 2 in a home and away playoff, with the winner obviously advancing through to the first division next year. Now Istria Pula, who finished in 11th spot, came up against Orient Rijeka, and they were the second place fit team in Division 2. Well, Istra defeated Orient 3-0 this morning, and that's after the first leg. So the return leg is on Wednesday, and guess what? Saturday week is the new season. So I think it's happening at a lot of places across Europe. There is no break. So you know what? I think Michael Ong said it. Yeah, he did. At least we have live football to watch during this lockdown. Last one we had to go retro, and true. That's the silver lining, I guess, at the end of a dark cloud. The fact that we have got A-League, we have got interstate NPL, we have got overseas football. Thank God for internet. And we've been cursing internet a lot. We're cursing it just before the show started because we're having internet problems. But oh man, it's Steve, I've got to ask you, it's the way of the future, obviously, all this streaming, and we're seeing, bubble. They're calling it sport in a bubble. How much of it do you think, how much of this COVID crisis will have an effect on live sport in years to come? Will we see less and less of a reliance on crowds and more of a, just live streaming, and, will we see, all manners or all levels of football being streamed? Let's talk just about football. What do you think will happen if you're gazing into the crystal ball?
Oh, look, I'd really hope that we can return to the status quo in terms of the organic football product after this. But obviously with this this tournament, sort of World Cup tournament style Champions League about to kick off this week, it's almost like a prelude to a future European League of Champions that could take place, and that's been something that's been talked about in the media across the UK and Europe a lot lately. So hopefully that is more satire than real world probability. I've been watching a lot of the Major League Soccer back tournament, they've been calling it, because it's on at quite a good time actually. You can sort of sit down to lunch each day and watch a game, and I enjoyed watching the Portland Timbers. I've actually got the T-shirt on tonight. They got over New York City 3-1 yesterday. So all those matches are played in a hub in Florida at the some ESPN Sports Center. So interesting time. Some of those matches kicking off around midnight local time, I guess, targeting maybe a West Coast audience in the US. So yeah, like you say, it's almost like a TV production, isn't it? Like, well, it literally is, I suppose.
Yep. It's weird. It's just, I don't know. It's like, I like the fact that we've got live sport. I really, really do. But yeah, I don't know. I think the novelty's kind of worn off a little bit on me. I want the crowds back. And look, watching that other code the other night from Perth, where they had a decent sort of a crowd, and it was a pretty what's the word? Really, what's that word when you're one-eyed? One-eyed, yeah, one-eyed. A one-eyed crowd, and they were, very loud, and there's nothing like that atmosphere. Nothing like that atmosphere, end of the day. So, yeah, hopefully we can return to some sort of normality.
Yeah, I think you and me can agree that football is nothing without the fans, and having the fans there to go arm in arm with the players. Now, just confirming 6 weeks of stage 3 COVID-19 restrictions for the Geelong region and the rest of regional Victoria will commence on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Residents will only be allowed to listen. School will revert to remote learning, and this, of course, also means an end to all football-related activities for the duration of this time. Now, on a brighter note, as seen during our program's interview last week, the doyen of Geelong football, Roy Hay, and the rare archive footage of the Geelong CC Cats playing National League level futsal from 1987 has gone viral on our Geelong Region Soccer Show YouTube channel. So we're putting the call out, do you have any rare footage of football or futsal from our region? If so, do get in touch, as this is the content that we just need at the moment to keep a smile on everyone's faces during the current COVID-19 restrictions. And there you can see that on screen. There's some more footage. It's just absolutely fantastic footage. We talked about it last week, the bright colours, the short shorts, and the packed seating area as well at these matches. It's National League sport in Geelong, even before the Geelong Cats were a National League level team at this point. So fascinating story last week, chatting to Roy about that one, Tonchi.
Yeah, it was. And this particular game is the Geelong CC Cats. So that's the Sydney Spartans, the fellow there. As you can see, he's got that maroon top with the yellow sleeves. But the CC Cats, they had the orange top, the yellow shorts. They really look like a pack of CCs, sponsored by the CC company. But yeah, it's incredible that in 1987, so before Geelong Footy Club, AFL Cats, before the VFL was an AFL or a national competition, and there's Eddie Radojevic there. He was the one that supplied us, him and his lovely wife, Lily. They supplied us with that rare footage off a VHS video, and that's the wonders of modern technology. We've been able to, screen it as well. But in 1987, I guess in Geelong, the only national team we had were the Geelong Cats, the basketball team. They weren't known as the Super Cats then; they were known as the Cats. They also used to play at the Leisure Time Centre. But indoor soccer, Geelong had an indoor national team or a national team. All right, it lasted 1 year, but we had the honour of having the best Australian player playing in our ranks, Robbie Nogler, who also went on to represent Australia. I mean, the World Cup came to the arena, and that was in 1988. So it's just an amazing story, and that footage, Steve, that you can see, that has absolutely gone viral on our YouTube channel. It's by far the most viewed video that we've got on our YouTube channel. So it's absolutely fantastic and great to see it. Yeah, and as you said, look, call out if anyone has got footage of the old national James Hardie National Indoor Soccer League days. Andy Pascalides used to commentate that on SBS, and Andy's been a very, very popular and welcome visitor to Geelong on many, many occasions. He was a very, very good friend of the late Dave Savinsky. And Andy's voice was very, very synonymous with the old James Hardie National Indoor Soccer League. But yeah, great trip down memory lane. And look, Steve, maybe that's something that our viewers would like us to do. Maybe focus, particularly over the next 6 to 8 weeks, maybe focus on a little bit more of the history side of things. I mean, we've got some fantastic clubs that have been around for 30, 40, 50, 60 years in Geelong. And if that's something that our viewers would love to see, tell us about some of in the comments section. Tell us about some of the colourful characters of yesteryear. And you're not allowed to say Tommy Cumming, because everyone says Tommy Cumming. Tommy Cumming, when he used to play up at Bell Park and used to also play in the old National Soccer League with the Melbourne Knights. And I think George Cross or Green Gold, he was a brilliant player. The little diminutive Scotsman. He was incredible. But Steve, on to more news.
Well, next item I've got is the junior scores from the weekend, actually.
Shall we leave that till afterwards? Because we
can.
We have got our next guest on the line, or he's in the green room, actually. He's ready to come on. And we might just bring him on, actually, because he's been waiting very, very patiently. And, when you got a man like Rob Casha waiting, you don't keep him waiting too long. He's itching to get on, and he's got a lot to say. Good evening to Rob Casha, the head coach of Galaxy United. Rob, how are you? Hello? He can't hear us. Oh, we can hear him, but he just can't hear us, unfortunately. Oh, goodness me. We're going to just have to Steve, keep talking. I'm going to try and get our man Rob on the line.
Let's get Rob on the line. Okay, well, in the meantime, we can have a look towards that match. It's about to kick off at Jubilee Stadium in Sydney, and we'll have a look at that victory lineup. It's a youthful lineup that they're going with tonight. Matt Acton in goal, back four of Storm Rue, James Donachie, Galafuco, and Adama Traore, and holding midfielders Jay Barnett and Lee Broxham, an attacking three of Rojas, Kidder, and Cam Sober, playing behind Laurie Latunzio. So that is possibly the youngest victory outfit that's been fielded for a match for A-League points, possibly in the club's history. If you can point to a younger starting 11 for the victory in a A-League match, I'd like to know about it, but I think that might actually be it. And that match is just about to kick off now, so we'll keep you posted of any scoring in that match there. The Mariners lining up with a 4-1-4-1 formation with Matt Simon getting a gig in the starting 11 at the pointy end, and Tommy Orr is probably the other big name starting on the left flank. So that match about to kick off. Tonchi, is there any luck getting Rob on the line in the meantime?
Yeah, no, he's joining us on the line. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get him to get the visual. We're having visual problems, but he's definitely on the line. Rob, you there? Can you hear us?
Yep, I'm here, mate. Gotcha.
Okay. We can hear you nice, and we can hear you all well and good. That's the way. Now, mate, first of all, we'll talk about the season that's been. Like, it's just a season from hell, you could say. But 2020. Take us through the year, the pre-season. We've got him even visually. Okay, here we go. There we go. Hello, there we go. Can you hear us?
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, gotcha.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
yeah, pre-season.
Yeah, this season, what a crazy start to 2020 it was. I mean, you were hoping it was going to be a productive year or a rebuilding year, I guess. Is that the best way to describe it? Let's go through the pre-season. How was it, in the pre-season at Galaxy? How were things looking? We had the Community Cup in the early stages. Tell us a bit more about all of that.
Yeah, we started the pre-season in mid-November.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the young players come in. Atmosphere was really good. Players realised they had opportunities now to make it at higher level. The players who were sort of fringe players in the NPL setup were now going to become senior players, so they were pumped, ready to work hard. Atmosphere was really good. Played a few friendly games, and then we sort of got the inkling that something was going to go wrong. Went through the, what would you call it, the ladies' version of the Advertiser Cup. I can't remember what it was called, sorry.
Oh, the Geelong Community Cup, wasn't it? It was a bit of both.
My apologies.
Yep,
the Geelong Community Cup. Went through that. Enjoyed that very much. That was a huge positive. That was a great tournament. Whoever organised that needs to be commended.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the COVID thing, and we were flying, to be honest. We were doing extremely well. Probably going to go into round one, probably the fittest we'd been in a long time. Really, really positive, and then the belly went out of it. COVID arrived, and that was the end of it.
And was it the season was meant to start that weekend, or did you have a Nike FC Cup that was supposed to be that weekend that was actually, lockdown version 1? Yeah,
it was Nike Cup.
The Nike
Cup. We were supposed to play Nike Cup, and then that didn't happen. Players were, a little bit disappointed, and I spoke to players during the last lockdown and trying to keep them positive, giving them training sessions that they could do in isolation, and listening to players who were not feeling good, because some of them live alone, mentally, needed someone to talk to. But we got through it, and then we got through to another sort of version of pre-season once we came out of it.
Yep.
And that was really interesting. It was surprising how positive they came back. It was surprising how positive they come back.
In the sense, positive physically, as in like they hadn't lost anything physically of their physical conditioning, or mentally, or a combination of both.
Mentally. Physically, they were still very fit, but not where we were at before we were going into round one. We were going to be an extremely fit side.
Yeah.
But the conditioning was, that can be managed. so we could manage the conditioning. But mentally, they come back very, very good because there was the opportunity of playing football again. So they worked hard, got themselves back up to not where they needed to be, but to a version of where they needed to be, considering, we were going to go into a season so quickly. All we needed was permission to tackle.
Yeah.
And I'd organised a friendly game with my friend Mike Chapman at Rangers. The second we could tackle, we were going to play one another just to reward our both clubs' players for their hard work.
Yeah.
And which was good that the two clubs are talking, and get ourselves a game. And Melbourne locked down, and we sort of numbers went up with COVID, and we weren't allowed to tackle again. And the players mentally, for the senior players mentally, that probably I could pinpoint that part of the training where they went, we're not going to play. And they just, you could see they were sort of, they started to have a bit of a kick about, and there's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing anyone can do about that. But then this under-18s competition.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. How did that come about? Yeah, and was it a hit? Was it a miss? How did it come about? And going forward, is this something that you can envisage becoming a permanent fixture?
I hope so, because I enjoyed it. It was going to be good for us because we get to be part of the community, because none of our teams actually get to play in the community, and we were actually got to be part of the community.
Yeah.
We only got to play one game. I got to have a conversation with North Geelong's coaches. I got to see North Geelong's players. Same was going to happen with Bowen Heads, etc., etc. Our players were all told, make yourself accessible to opposition coaches, opposition players, join your community, really, really get involved. And they were enjoying it because they're all girls of, 15 to 17 years of age. And to then become the badge wearer, we'll call it, for our club, they took that on board, and they were proud to showcase our club.
I mean, that's pretty incredible from the idea, the conception phase to actually being played out as first round. I think it only took like 10 days or something, if that.
I had a conversation with the president, Branko. Branko said to me, I think on the Friday, he said to me, they're talking about an under-18s competition. Would you like to put a team in from the under-18s? I said, sure, we can marry the under-16s and the under-18s, the reserves players together.
Yeah.
The players that were eligible, we can marry them together, and we can use it to develop potentially our team for 2022-23. So we're looking that far ahead. And it was all positive, and I said, yeah, 100%, let's do it. I'm happy to coach it, make sure that we're learning, not just participating. We wanted to still use it as a learning phase for our players. And, we did it. And then next Thursday he said to me, I hope you're ready because we're playing on Saturday. I had to cancel work.
Now, Rob, before we go any further, can you just adjust your camera because you're cutting the top of your head? I know we love to see your face. That's perfect. That's much
good.
Better. Yeah, well, that's why I wear caps. Steve, you had something to ask Rob. Steve, did you?
Rob, let's look forward. There's a lot of good
I can't
things.
hear him, and it better not be about Arsenal. I can't hear Steve.
You can't hear? No, okay. That's all right.
Okay, you can't hear Steve. Okay.
Can we ask Rob about the 2023 World Cup and what that might mean?
All right, Rob. Can we ask you about the 1 second? I'm going to change something here. All right, go, Steve. Ask that question again.
All right, Rob. Is that better now?
Yeah, I can just hear you.
You can just hear me. Okay. Looking towards the 2023 Women's World Cup, what does that mean for football and women's football in our region?
I've only just heard you. Was that a question about the Women's World Cup? And
About the Women's World Cup, the decision to announce Australia as the host, and what will that do for women's football in this country?
Oh, mate, I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant because we'll be able to showcase our game and how good the women are in this country. Because you have to remember our national team's probably third best, fourth best, arguably in the world, maybe even higher. For me, I say they're the best in the world. To be a player within the NPL system below that, you are technically playing in the fourth best, the best league in the fourth best country in the world. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to be missing at this next World Cup, which I hope we're all out to achieve, is some young girl from Geelong should be in that Matilda setup. That's what we should be working towards.
Yeah, wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that be good? We've got Maxi Santich, who's a regular listener of our show in Football Out West, heavily involved down in women's football down in Melbourne. He says, please ask Rob, as a respected coach of women's football. Now, I don't know if he's saying that he's a respected coach of women's football or you're the respected coach of women's football, Rob. Either way, he's asking, Rob, what is your view of how you feel women's football is going? So, in other words, what's your view? How is women's football going? Let's firstly say here in Geelong, and then we'll move nationally. So the state of affairs with women's football, Rob, obviously taking into account the World Cup coming up. How are we? Where are we? If you were a school teacher, what sort of an assessment would you give it?
Well, when I was in the NPL system with Galaxy United, the football was, the first 2 to 3 years was really, really good. It was brilliant. And then you could start to see it plateau a little bit. I think the novelty had worn off. And how can I say it? I think the player pool was a little bit diluted, right? But that's arguable. That's just my opinion, right? With our club, it didn't help taking the pathway out of the region, because the region had players in junior ranks who were being bred to play at a particular level, and that was taken away from them. But in saying that, they can then achieve the place in NPLW by winning themselves a State League 1 or VPLW tournament, which means they're not being handed their position, they've actually earned the right. So I think that's fantastic. State of women's football, in my opinion, in Geelong, there's still a lot of participation in it. I'd like to see girls who want to be competitive, want to try to go to that next level and be the next Sam Kerr. Have an opportunity to do it, because I find that they're not really being pushed. I see the difference between my son and women's football. My son plays for Geelong Soccer Club. He is really pushed at training. They work him hard, right? Whereas you go away from, for example, a Galaxy system, if they don't want to turn up to training, there's no one really bothers, right? Where I think they should bother. I think they should be treated the same as the boys. If you don't turn up to training, there's got to be an explanation as to why. It's not a participation sport. This is a real sport. If you want to play at the highest levels, you have to work hard. There's nothing wrong with telling our kids to work hard, because we say to our kids, we say to each other as adults all the time, kids these days, they don't work hard enough. Everything's handed to them. Well, what's wrong with a guy or woman coach saying to the player, mate, you're not working hard enough. You need to earn every minute you play.
Yep. I remember a while back, or not that while back, just not that long ago, or something on the YouTube, and there was an American guy. I wish I had this video, and he was going on about how we're building too much of a participation generation, and
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Yeah. And when the guy basically says we're giving, ribbons to those that finish 10th in school sports, like back in my day, we used to, if you finished first, second, or third, you get a ribbon. If you finished fourth, you get nothing. Are we building too much of a participation generation, as the gentleman in question says?
I think we are. I think there's nothing wrong with, because when they're adults, they're going to have a boss. I'm a boss. I own a business. They're going to have a boss who says, well, mate, where have you been? It's 10 o'clock. You start at 8 o'clock. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Or you're not working quick enough, blah, 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 blah. There's always going to be. So if we can't instill that not in children, but if we can't instill that in young adults,
yeah,
they're going to become unemployable adults.
Yeah.
So I disagree with the whole participation. Yeah. We need participation. I disagree with rewarding mediocrity.
Yeah. And I guess, look, there has to be different levels, I suppose at mini roos, at something like that, at entry level, even if it's at a social competition, the emphasis is what? Having fun or having a kick. But when you get to Galaxy, I mean, we're talking elite. We're talking about the region's elite. Now, if they get to the country championships, we're talking about the region's elite. There shouldn't be, and I'm talking, this doesn't apply just to the girls. I think this should apply across the board. If we're talking elite, we've heard from Joey Diddlitz on this very show. It's a dog-eat-dog world when you get to Europe. There's, there are people, your own teammates, looking to break your legs at training because you're keeping their spot. You're taking their spot. So there's a lot of as I said, dog-eat-dog type of a world. We don't have that. Yeah. We don't have that killer instinct in our kids, have we? Particularly when they get to that elite level.
Some of the girls I have it, but if you haven't got it at this level, you're really not going to go far. You don't have to look past clubs like Calder United. Calder United, they work their players really hard. They make them train. They're a very good professional female football club. But look at the results they've had. Champions of the NPLW, TMAP Cups, Nike Cups. They're the benchmark.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be, if you want to be, I think if players want to be an Olympian or a high-level player, I think at junior level it's important you give them the taste and what it's actually like. Because if they get to their teenage years and think it's a cruise, once they get to that next level where they want to get to, they go, that's it for me, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting conversation.
It's hard work to be a professional sportsman.
Yeah. Mm. And as you say, if we're going to get a girl from Geelong working her way up to the Matildas, she has to go down that path. She has to go down that path of knowing how to learn the knocks. Is that right? Knowing how to get knocked, hit to the ground, and then pick herself up and get back.
Yeah. At some stage, if you want to be a Matilda, and this is for even our club, at some stage, if you want to be a Matilda, you're going to have to leave your comfort zone. You're going to have to leave Drysdale. You're going to have to leave Surf Coast. You're going to have to leave Galaxy. You're going to have to leave North. Because if you want to be the best, if you want to be a Sam Kerr, you've got to be uncomfortable. You've got to be uncomfortable. You've got to be prepared to make sacrifices. You've got to be prepared to do your homework in the car on the way to training. It's a sacrifice. To get to the highest levels is a sacrifice.
Golden words from a great coach there, and Chris Briffa, who I'm sure you know, is a regular listener on our show, and he says, Rob Casha, former Altona North SC gun player and committee man, also a great bloke. And Chris Briffa says here, and he's got some interesting points. He said, they're rewarding mediocrity and setting them up for a fall. In all sports, we teach our kids to play fair. In Europe, they teach kids to win at all costs. There is probably the big difference between being a world superstar and being just someone that's doing comfortably well. But I like what you say there. that everyone to succeed, to be a world superstar, needs to get out of their comfort zone.
I don't believe in winning at all costs, but I do believe players should understand that they're there to win, because winning at all costs can come at being not a good person. I still think you need to be a good person, but still understand that you need to win the game.
Yeah. Good point. Steve?
Now, Rob, looking forward, hopefully you can...
I can't hear you, Tonch.
No, you have to ask the question, Tonchi.
What was that, sorry?
I can't hear him.
Rob can't hear me.
Hear Steve.
Oh, what's going on? Seriously. Can you hear? Gans?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yep. Steve, say.
Yep.
Gotcha. I've got him.
Yep. Okay, Rob, let's look to the next 6 or so weeks. What can we do, and how can we look out for each other in terms of mental health for our footballing community in the next 6 weeks and beyond?
Well, I'm going to stay in contact with my players, because I know there's some of them that live alone. There's a few of them who are very young kids, and we don't have to look past the last lockdown to see how bad that was for teenagers within the region. And the players I have myself, I consider them like my kids. I'd hate to think that they're lonely and have no one to talk to, and I'll be looking out. And I think it's important that not just the coaches, that teammates go out, look after each other. The clubs follow up their players, because it's not open the doors in November, we train, have a season, scream and yell at each other, congratulate each other on different days, and then shut the doors in November, December, and walk away. It's not like that. Football it's life. It's a life. Even if a player moves on to another club, you still love that player. They're still your friend, regardless of if you've fallen out with them or not. They're still your friend. You've had disagreements on a football field, but in life, we're still friends. So, I just think it's important that from my point of view, I'll contact all my players and make sure. Because I know they've got issues off the ground. Coaching senior players is completely different to coaching juniors. They have life issues. They might not be able to eat. They might be not working and not have any money. This new job keep is not going to be enough money to support themselves and pay a mortgage. And I'd hate to think one of them's hungry at home and I've got a pantry full of food.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that even just, for example, you two guys ring each other during the day and say, "How are you, Tonchi?"
I'm sick of Steve. I don't want to talk to him. Actually, that's true.
You know where I'm going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We were talking about this earlier today, and how important that football connection is. Sometimes, and someone did mention it. Back in the day, the football clubs is where people used to go. I know, I come from a community of immigrants, as do you. And I think a lot of people, they couldn't speak English. They felt like a foreigner in this country. And the only time they ever felt part of anything was when they were down at their local football club. And I think, that is how important it was back in the 60s and 70s, is equally important to this generation now in the 2020s. But mate, hopefully, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. You've got some absolute pearls of wisdom there, and we look forward to having you on again next time, when it's probably a lot more sunnier, a lot more positive, a lot more something to look forward to, as opposed to at the moment when it is going to be tough, but we're determined we'll pull through it all together.
Yeah, hopefully the positive that comes out of all this is that all the coaches who normally, and people who don't normally get together and talk to each other, now start talking to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob, thank you very much for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Rob.
And that was Rob Casha. Some very, very good words there. Absolutely. Really, a really good message there, Steve.
Yeah, I like the passion that he brings, and it's like the whole thing about making that elite level. It's like you've got I've got to work hard to do it. You look at these young athletes getting up out of bed at 4 a.m. to try and make the Olympic swimming teams. Well, we can't just think we're going to make the Socceroos or the Matildas based on in some entitlement and training 2 or 3 times a week. We've got to be doing more than our rivals and doing our best to get there. So that's it.
Absolutely. Now, what we might do is, before we get our next guest on, Mario Gregorio, we might take a very, very quick break. When we do return, we hopefully will have him on the show. Don't go away. You're tuning in to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's episode 51. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Steve, it's the reason why we're inviting our next guest is some positive news. After all, yes, we've got some positive news that's happening. And, mate, this is exciting. Do you want to introduce our next guest?
Be my pleasure, Tonchi. And it's a very warm welcome to the show tonight to the president from the guys out there at Hume Reserve, Corio Soccer Club. It's Mr. Mario Gregorio. How are you doing, Mario?
I'm very well, thanks, guys. And before we start, I just need to say a cheerio to Santino Mamone and Gino Diagemenico. They said they'll break my legs if I didn't say hello to them.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah, but I'm well, thanks.
Now, speaking of Gene Digi, now he says you've got a particularly unusual nickname or an interesting nickname. Did you want to share that with us, Mario?
Oh, yeah. Look, back in the 90s when I used to play with Gino, I wasn't great in the air, and they called me Biscotti because my when I used to head the ball, it basically my head used to crumble like a biscuit, like a biscuit tin. So I wasn't the greatest header in the world, but I still reckon I was better than Gino. But anyway.
Oh, look, anyone's better than Gino, although I think Gino thinks he's better than himself. But that's another story. That's in particular, mate. Yeah. Very, very exciting news happening down Hume Reserve way. It was announced yesterday on social media by our good friend Eddie Contal, who is really, really the counsellor who does, along with Kylie Grisbeck and even Anthony Aiken. They do so much for our sport, but this is an announcement that is so long overdue. So, well, tell us about it. Just, mate, tell us all about it.
Look, I guess it's been a 3-year program for the Corio Soccer Club to, I guess, for us to get new facilities in terms of new change rooms and club rooms. It's taken 3 years for the announcement to come through, and look, it'll probably take another 18 months for the completion of the new change rooms and club rooms. But look, without the council officers, without Eddie Contal, Kylie Grisbeck, and also Anthony Aiken, they're just fantastic for our world game. Fantastic, and the plans have just come up on screen there. They've been done locally from the Architects 3ID Studios, and it's basically going to be 4 new change rooms with a gymnasium, meeting rooms, 100-seat club rooms with new kitchen and bar facilities, and look, it'll take us up, to where Geelong Soccer Club and Rangers and Lara are at, and also Bell Park. We've probably been the poor cousin of the Northern Hub teams, but now it's Corio's turn. It's been, over 60 years for us to get new facilities, and it's exciting, and it'll be a game changer for Corio.
Now we're looking at the vision of what it will look like. It looks absolutely unbelievable. And so, what is now the second pitch? That will become the first pitch. And will the club rooms be right up close to the edge of the pitch there? How is that sort of expected?
Yeah. So pretty much in that video, you sort of there's vision of a glass sort of window, and that's where the club rooms will be, and the club rooms will be basically right next door to the change room. So it'll be similar to the Geelong Soccer Club's facilities, just on a little bit of a smaller scale. I mean, the Geelong Soccer Club facilities are world class, and ours will be not far behind in terms of size, but it'll be pretty close to what it's got.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
it'll be fantastic. It'll be right up close behind the action, behind the goals on pitch 2. So you feel like you're right over the top. There'll probably be a little bit of elevated platforms there for about 2 or 3 steps. So it'll be great.
Brilliant.
Excellent news, excellent news. In other news, Marco Rojas has opened the scoring for victory with a 22nd minute goal there. So your mate Santino will be very happy right now. Now, what will this new facility, what possibilities will that open up for the club that you haven't been able to do so far that you will be able to do going forward?
Yeah, look, for the last 3 years, look, we didn't do juniors very well. And so I guess we concentrated on the seniors. For us, it was important to get that State League 1 position. And I guess that opens up the State League 1 position, opened up doors for sponsorship, and we want to keep our spot in State League 1. Now it's the juniors' turn, and look, we've gone from 0 juniors last year up to 90 juniors this year, and that's been fantastic work from our junior coordinator Slavko Pantelic. So we've got 90 juniors. We hope to grow that slowly to about 120, 150 next year, and then the next step is women's football. We really need to get a women's team up at Corio. We've come close on several occasions to get a team up and running, but the lack of facilities hindered our opportunity to get a women's team up and running. So next year, we hope to get a women's team going. And that's our first step. We've got an under-9 girls team and at the moment, under-7 Mini Roos girls team. I guess we'll try and build from the bottom up. But look, I think I've had a lot of phone calls in the last few days, actually, about women wanting to join Corio on the back of new facilities being announced.
That's fantastic. And that was going to be my next question. Are you planning on just trying to get out there and getting a senior women's team happening as quickly as possible? Or are you looking at building from the bottom up?
Look, I guess we've tried to build from the top up. It didn't work, trying to build a team from soccer mums. I guess you look at what North Geelong did. North Geelong built from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And they've got a pretty good girls team. Look, if we can get an under 13 or 15 girls team up and running next year, and then maybe in the second year, then we could probably get a senior team, women's team up. But I think you look at the model that North Geelong did, and that was to build it from the bottom up. That's probably the way we need to go.
Yeah, I think a few clubs in the north have done that as well, haven't they? Rangers seem to have done something.
Yeah, Rangers, Bell
Park as well. We just asked Rob Casha there moments before you came on air about the Women's World Cup and what sort of an effect he thinks it will have on the game locally. What about yourself? What with the new facilities, obviously looking forward to that as quickly as possible, as early as possible, and obviously because Corio is really in the demographic heartland of a lot of the new arrivals and a lot of the traditional football supporters, I guess. The Women's World Cup, will that have a big effect on your club, a positive effect, and what women's soccer in general in Geelong?
Yeah, look, funny you say that. Look, Geelong City Council were looking for expressions of interest for clubs to put up their hand for their training ground to be used as a facility for possible a World Cup female team to be training in Geelong. Corio put up their hand. That would mean that we'd have to give up our ground for 3 months.
Yep.
While they prepare the pitches and also maybe even possibly put in some newer facilities. I'm still hopeful. I know that Geelong wasn't given, didn't get the rights to be a host city, but the City Council and Corio are still hopeful that possibly one of the countries may use Geelong as a training base, and that would mean that Corio would be used as a training base because they need grass pitches.
Yep.
So I'd gladly give up our ground for 3 months if it meant, improve facilities in terms of lighting and even fencing, 12-metre high fencing around the ground or whatever. So, look, it would mean it'd be fantastic for not only Corio but the region as a whole for women's football.
And so when you look at the facilities at the moment and you sort of think to yourself, oh, good Lord, he's dreaming and this, that. But that's exactly what we need to be doing in Geelong, isn't it? I mean, if we're dreaming and we're aiming really high, if we even get only halfway there, all right, we won't get the 12-metre high fences. We'll get the 6-metre high fences. But, I mean, that's so much better than where we are right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Look, so with the new change rooms and possibly and then if Geelong was chosen as a host training city, would even be getting lighting up to a standard of A-League standard.
Yep.
So gladly give up 3 months of our ground if we could achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Mario, with the timelines for the club room facility itself, have we got any idea about when we can expect work might be commencing and for which season that would be possibly ready for?
Yeah, so I met up with council last week. Tenders will be out within 4 to 6 weeks. So there'll be tenders out for a design and construct tender. And once that's given the go-ahead on the winning tender, funds will be then used, to get plans and construction drawings done. And then 2021 would then be the start of the new facility. Look, we're probably hopeful of the new facility built for the start of around January 2022.
Great news. That's not far away, really, now.
No. So, I'd say give it a 15 to 18 month program. We're pretty hopeful. We've already been quoted the job so far. There's been a company that did the Adelaide United training facility. So we're hopeful that we'll have something similar.
Yeah. Now, Mario, the club did receive, was it $150,000 to develop a master plan? So is this 350 part of that, or is that in?
So 350, another $200,000 will be actually used this year for to improve the Hume Reserve precinct. So that will mean better fencing around pitch 3.
Yep.
More seating around all the pitches, and just a general beautification of the area. And then with that, and then with our new facility, it'll be a great hub for the Northern Soccer region, I guess. I guess our area is right in the heart of Bell Park, and if we can beautify that with better walkways and more seating, and who knows, they may put a barbecue there. I'm not quite sure what the plan is for the other $200,000 to be spent in beautifying it, but. It'll be probably playground, I'd say. They'll probably improve the boxy courts for the guys that, up to 20 to 40 of them that gather around every day playing boxy. It'll just beautify the area. And within 18 months, it'll just be fantastic, over the moon.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, it is something certainly that's very positive, and something that has made us all smile on on what has seemed very much like a wake of an episode. But another thing that's made me smile is the banter that's happening in the comments section. Can someone tell me how Matt Simon has played professional football? Asks none other than Craig Filer.
He's not the greatest. He hasn't got the greatest skills.
And then Rado Prusak, who happens to be my brother, says, nobody can answer that one, Craig. It's a mystery.
True.
Santino Mamoni pops up and he says, let's get Simon Hill to open it up. I think he's talking about the barbecue or the bocce courts, or is he talking about the club pavilion?
Oh, yeah, probably to open up the new facility. I guess he is. Santino's been hanging out at the club and helps out from time to time, cooking the barbecue and all that. So, he's a great little personality around our club.
Absolutely fantastic. Mate, thank you very much for joining us at short notice. We do appreciate it. And we certainly, first of all, congratulations getting the juniors up off the ground. There's a whole new vibrancy now at Hume Reserve. I was down there the other week, and Zolly Luxo was there helping out, coaching. He's a jack of all trades, Zolly.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Incredible.
And the other thing was, we got approached by Diversitat to get an under 15 team up and running based on they're all Afghani kids that couldn't afford to play elsewhere. Our club paid for their registration fees, and we've now got 18 under 15 players. They've won their first 4 games, and we're on top of the ladder when the season was called off, I guess, yesterday. So, that's been that's tremendous to see that we can do something for the community. Sometimes it's not all about having, the best juniors or whatever. It was for me to see 18 kids, playing football, all Afghani kids was, just warms your heart and warms everyone's heart at the club. And they're great. They're great players. They've been winning 10-0 and 11-1. They won yesterday. So, they've got a lot of great skills, and we'll probably find a gem amongst them all.
And look at that, a goal difference of 38-4, 4 against, 4 wins from 4 games. Mind you, that's not a bad division, that under 15 division. There's I think one of the Rangers teams is one of the teams that was supposed to play up in Metro this year or something like that.
Yeah, we didn't get the opportunity to play them, but there's one kid who scored like 15 or 16 goals, I think, in 4 games, and he's someone that we'll probably look at, and when 1 or 2 others will look at training with our reserves for next year.
Yeah, that's incredible, and that particular kid's name, Ishmael Haydari, I think.
Haydari, yes. He's a mongrel. He's got a little mongrel about himself, and he loves it. He's a good footballer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And real shame about the junior season coming to an end. But Mario, we've spoken a lot on this program, and Corio Hume Reserve is one such example. There are a lot of clubs that have got football specific pitches. So the idea of playing, in spring, in summer, in autumn, is certainly in Geelong. We are able to do that. Do you think, at least maybe from a junior perspective, Football Victoria may come up with something, over the course of the summer, assuming that we can get rid of this damn pandemic?
Yeah, look, yesterday, I think our under 9 girls played against North Geelong under 9 girls. A lot of people there. The parents were disappointed, amongst hearing the news of football being called off. Look, there's an opportunity if after 6 weeks, if the pandemic does slow down a bit, that, I think we would get training back up and running again. The parents do enjoy it, the kids enjoy it, and if at the very least we can get them training again in 6 or 7 weeks' time, I think the club will warm to that idea.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Steve, any questions?
No, it's just saying it was good to see the club involved in a lot of community things, as you mentioned, the players in the under-15s. Also, I've seen on the Facebook page there, the club involved in local community support for Darcy Rapper's sister Maddie fighting limb disease. It's a testament to the club that you guys do good job, not only on the football pitch, but also looking out for one another.
Yeah, look, Darcy's is a great kid, and his dad's always, at every game that Darcy plays, and if there's something we can do for Darcy's sister, we'll help as much as we can. But great family, and Darcy's a great kid, great footballer, and love to help him as much as we can.
Excellent. A great family there, the Rappers, that definitely. Mate, once again, thank you very much for joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. All the very best, and we hope to hear some more good news coming from Corio Soccer Club in months to come.
No worries. Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Tonchi.
Good on you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mario.
Mario Gregorio from Corio Soccer Club. And, geez, don't those images look phenomenal, hey?
Yeah, it's exciting. You can just picture it now. People gathered behind the goals there, enjoying the match nice and close to the pitch, and the atmosphere or the improved atmosphere that will actually add to the match day experience out there would be, I guess, like a night and day difference to what the club
has got
experiences now.
Yeah, absolutely. And there you can see once again a little bit of the vision there for the future, something to certainly look forward to. So we certainly wish Corio Soccer Club all the very, very best. Mate, let's get into the results. Let's talk about the results this weekend.
Let's do it, as it's still 1-0 in Sydney, with victory leading courtesy of that Marco Rojas goal. Let me just pull up those results. So we'll talk the women's results first, shall we?
Yeah, there we go. It's on the screen now, so let's look at that. And the girls under 12 competition. So Steve, I'll let you go through the girls under 12 comp.
Sure thing. So in the girls under 12s, it was Drysdale 1, Surfside Waves 1. In the Bellarine Derby, shall we call that one? Golden Plains 6, Barwon Heads 5, a high scoring, close match, that one.
Now listen, this one, in the Golden Plains game, do you believe that Juliet Downs scored all 6 of Golden Plains' goal? That's amazing. Amazing effort from Juliet.
That is a day out, so very well done to Juliet there. Yeah. Bell Park 4, Lyra United 2. And Surf Coast with a 10-0 victory over the Ballerine Sharks to round out the results in the girls under 12s. And I've lost my page with the scorers there, unfortunately, for that one.
Yeah, no, in the Surf Coast game against Ballerine Sharks,
eight different scorers.
Yeah,
yes.
Insane, incredible. So that's pretty amazing. North Geelong had the bye. So look, if we look at the ladder there for the North Geelong ladder. Now, let's see if I can bring up the ladder as we speak. But with the as far as the goal scoring chart goes, and young Anastasia Simic, Simic has scored 15 goals. So that's a pretty amazing effort, actually.
And that's from 3 games, I believe, that she's played. So 5 goals a game.
Yeah, 3 games. In fact, the top 4 goal scorers: Tihana Mahalik, who's got 12, Evie Chorsic got 7, and Zoe Storsic has got 7. They're all from North Geelong. So look at that goal difference: 44 goals for, 1 against, 9 points from 9 games. But it's Drysdale at the top at the moment. This is how they finished, unfortunately. Obviously, this is the end of the season, but this is how they finished. It's just a shame it doesn't continue, but that's what we're going to talk about, how the results happened. I guess that's it. We can't say next week. There's not going to be any round next week, but anyway, that's
yeah.
So there we go.
All right, well, moving into the girls under 14 competition now. These results from Saturday, and it was Golden Plains 6, Surf Coast 2, and I believe Penelope scored a hat-trick for Golden Plains in that particular fixture. Geelong Rangers blue, North Geelong Warriors. That match was North Geelong Warriors winning 2-1, and Drysdale 10, Barwon Heads 0. So a resounding win for Drysdale there at home against their rivals Barwon Heads. And it looks like Dakota Pearson was on target with 4 goals.
Yeah, and then we can see once again, and that particular ladder, that's the under 14 ladder. Once again, Drysdale on top. So Drysdale have got a very talented crop of young girls coming up through the ranks. Rangers are in second spot. We've got 3 teams, in fact, on second spot. Golden Plains Soccer Club, Surf Coast also on 6 points, followed by North Geelong Warriors, and then Rangers White, Barwon, and Barwon Heads. So, look, certainly one thing that augurs well for the future there is the fact that Drysdale Soccer Club have got, a team that's on top of the under 12s, under 14s. So they certainly have got a really, really good base of potential talent coming up through the ranks, Steve.
Yeah, that's correct. It's things looking bright out at Drysdale at the moment in the girls division. So well done to the Drysdale Soccer Club out there for doing so well. Now let's move on to the girls under 18 comp. This was the second round of competition in that particular division, and it was Bell Park who got to kick us off at home after they had to miss out last week with players self-isolating. They were on the wrong end of a defeat against North Geelong Warriors. They lost 16-2 with some high scoring outcomes for some of the attackers for North Geelong. Looks like Julia with 4 goals there, Olivia Herseg 3, and Maeve McKenna with 4. I hope I've got those names correctly, Tonchi.
Yeah, I think Maeve McKenna and Julia Akmacic all both getting 4 goals there.
And the other 2 matches are postponed. Those ones didn't go ahead, unfortunately.
They were postponed, correct. Yeah, and there's the ladder as it finished up, unfortunately, as the season is over. Let's move our attention now over to the boys.
Yeah, the boys under 12 Joeys, and it was Drysdale again. The boys trying to keep up with the girls there because they've had an 8-0 win over Barwon. And there was 3 goals there, a hat-trick for, I think it's Eden Benton, who's now got 6 for the season, and Cooper Bell scored 1, but finished on top of the scorers chart with 9 goals from 4 games.
As we can see, North Geelong convincingly were on top. 3 wins from 3 games. Drysdale Soccer Club, and in fact, I think that actually is 4. that wasn't updated because the game against Lara United was in fact a forfeit. So North Geelong actually would have got those 3 points. So they would have been on 12 points from a possible 12. So
and the other result there, Ballerine Sharks 3, Surfside Waves 3, with Cooper Evans scoring 3 goals for the Sharks.
Yeah, so fantastic. That's the under 12. Joey's on to the under 12 Kangers.
And we saw Geelong Rangers Blue 0, North Geelong Red 9, and it was Isaac Foster with a hat trick, and also a hat trick there for Nicholas as well. So a couple of the North boys scoring 3. Surf Coast. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say that I got a shout out to that Nicholas Skorjanik. That's my nephew. Very, very good. Very proud of young Nicholas, doing extremely well, and he's really amongst the goals there each week. But Surf Coast Yellow 1, Barwon 7. Unfortunately, we didn't have the results of the Barwon goal scorers there. No details of the goal scorers there. Bell Park defeated North Geelong 6-0. Same thing. We didn't have the goal scorers there. And then Geelong Yellow and Barwon Heads, their game was postponed, obviously with all of Geelong's games postponed. And Surf Coast had a bye. So the goal scorers chart there is equal top with 6 goals was Luca Amaranti from Geelong and Nicholas Skorjanik. And there's the ladder for the under 13s, as we can see. So we're going to quickly move along now to the under 13 boys.
13 boys results there. Lara United 1, North Geelong Warriors 5, North Geelong Red 3, Surfside Waves Lightning 0. That match may have actually been a forfeit result. The other 2 matches didn't take place between Geelong Lions and Golden Plains, and Barwon and Geelong. Those matches were had to be called off.
And there we go.
Leading goal scorer in that division is Dominic with 16 goals.
Dominic Pastorino. Yeah, and that's so doing incredibly well there. And his team is well and truly on top. 4 wins from 4 games. Goal difference of 37-4, 2 against. Incredible result there. And another North Geelong team also doing well in second place as well. So the Warriors are doing exceptionally well in under 13. Moving along to boys under 14, Steve.
Yeah, well, we saw Barwon 4, Bell Park 3, and that saw Ethan score 1 goal to put him on to 14 goals for the season.
That's Ethan Hackett.
Ethan Hackett, in that match. And Drysdale 0, Geelong Rangers Blue 6. No goal scoring details there, unfortunately. And another Geelong side, unfortunately, they had to postpone that game against Lara United. That one didn't take place, unfortunately.
Now, I have to apologise here, Steve, because Steve's having trouble reading my handwriting. I was...
it's quite neat, I must say.
I was providing some of the notes as to the goal scorers and what you're not, and I can see I can read my own handwriting. It just doesn't come across that way for someone else. So my apologies to you and to the listeners out there, viewers out there. There is the ladder, Steve, for the under 15s. 14, sorry, that's the under 14s.
Under 14 ladder, Barwon on top there with 4 wins from 4 games, and the next best, Geelong, with a couple of wins from their 3 games in the competition.
Okay, now moving along.
Boys under 15s, and it was Drysdale 1, Bell Park 9, and Lachlan Ford scored a hat-trick for Bell Park in that match. And Corio, as we spoke about with Mario a little earlier tonight, they had another resounding win. This was 11 goals to 1 over the Surfside Waves. And there was 4 goals there for Rayman and 3 goals for Ishmael Hidari.
Yeah, Ishmael.
And he moves on to 11 goals for the season.
Yeah, he's leading the goal scoring tally there. We already looked at the ladder there before when we had Mario on as guest, Corio on top there. As we said, it's a good division. It's a very, very tough division, that one, because you've got teams like Geelong Rangers White, coached by Stuart Begg, and they were the team that was going to play in the Melbourne competition last year. They just destroyed everyone in the local competition. Obviously, have had to return back to Geelong. But 14 goals for, none against from their 2 games, 6 points. So they were looking really good, as was their Rangers Blue team. Barwon Blue doing exceptionally well. And obviously, Corio, look at that. 38 goals for, 4 against, 4 games, 4 wins. That would have been certainly one of the most interesting divisions. But, the under-15s, maybe next year they'll move up to an under-16 competition, or maybe they'll move up to an under-17 competition. Either way, look at Steve. There's a lot of positives, as we can see, both with the girls and with the boys. There are some very, very talented players coming up through the ranks. And one thing that we've forgotten really to talk about is the country championships. I mean, this year it was going to be in Geelong. Next year it is going to be in Geelong again. So, I mean, there's a lot of local young talent to look forward to. And, I think the future is bright for football in Geelong.
No doubt about it. Just reading these results here and hearing some of the names, goals being scored, there's a lot to look forward to. And that, boys under 15, competitive division with, it's good to see a 10-team comp going around there. You can only imagine every team getting to play each other once and having a final series. It'd be an 18-game season, that one, plus finals. So that would be quite nice. Anyway, let's move into the boys under 17s now, where we saw the results. Lara United 0, Geelong Rangers White 4, and Bell Park 1, Barwon Blue 1, Geelong Rangers Red 14, with goals from Alex Todorowski, who scored 4, Hunter Purdy, who also scored 4, and Zev Donnelly, who scored 3. That was a win over Surfside Waves, who were held to no goals in that match. And Finn Murphy on 8 goals for the season for Barwon, if I got that correct.
Yeah, that's right. So they've got a game in hand. They're in third position, or they could have quite easily looked at. So once again, there's 3 or 4 teams, in fact, in that under 17 division that look like they could have been really dominant. But have a look at that. Rangers have got 3 teams. Barwon's got 2 teams. Bell Park's got 2 teams. Lara 1 and Surfside Waves 1. And that's not even taking into account, the NPL clubs like Geelong and North Geelong, who have obviously they've got their own under 18 and under 20 side. So look, a lot of quality. Something to look forward to. Hopefully, come next year or next season or whatever the case may be, we're going to see a lot of talent. That leaves us to the end of the show, I suppose, Steve. We'll be back next Monday. We'd love your input as to what you would love to see, folks. We'd love to hear, suggestions. Is it the historical thing? Is it some sort of an on-air debate? Is it have people just totally, lost interest, and are they ready now just to hibernate? We'd love to know. We'd love to hear, and we'd certainly going to be doing a little bit of our own research over the course of the week. But in the meantime, Football Out West show on Thursday night. Steve, the Football Fan Zone returns with a special quiz-style program next Sunday at 7 p.m. But in the meantime, we've got to log off and go watch a game of Melbourne Victory and Central Coast. Any progress scores from that game?
Still 1-0 to the Victory at halftime, and Samuel Silvera was shown the yellow card on 39 minutes for the Mariners. So Victory looking in the goods at the moment to get their first 3 points since the lockdown and the league shut down for that 4-month period. So anyway, thank you very much for your company, for everyone who's tuned in tonight. And of course to you, Tonchi, thanks for joining us for the last hour and a half.
Thank you.
We look forward to doing it all again next week.
We do indeed. Good night, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Good night.